Thank you for tuning into the Model Connection podcast. I am your host, Eric Harrell. Please like, follow, and subscribe on social media and everywhere you get your podcast. Links are in the description. With us today is a very special guest.
Hi, my name's Thomas Neal. I am a professional photographer from Huntsville, Alabama. Also co-host the North Alabama Photography Meet and Greet, as well as the Central Alabama Photography Meet and Greet. And I'm just glad to be here on the Model Connection podcast.
Thomas, I want to give you my sincere appreciation for you driving from Huntsville, Alabama, all the way to Murfreesboro. 100 miles or so?
Yeah, close to it.
Man, I'll tell you what, you have got my deepest appreciation for doing that. I mean, I so thank you for doing that. So tell me, Thomas, how long have you been a photographer?
I've always had an interest. I was deployed to the desert in 1991. I took a camera with me.
Thank you for your service, Thomas.
Not a problem. I started seriously about 7 years ago when my daughter was in high school. High school band kind of thing, just trying to take pictures, and one thing leads to another, and people ask, hey, can you take my picture? Can you do this? Can you do that? And it just kind of snowballed from there.
What was it like being a photographer for the high school band? How did you do that? That had to be one tough job right there.
Running with gear in one hand and the camera strap around and trying to take pictures and keep track of kids. And anytime we moved that group of kids, we had about 30 parents with us.
Okay.
So it's constant movement. And then when they're on the field, it's constant movement. It's one of the most difficult things to shoot I've ever tried to shoot.
I'd be up in the stands with the wide angle lens.
Just shooting the whole formation.
Yeah, the whole formation.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that.
I think you are the first photographer that was ever a high school band photographer. And wow. That's got to be one tough job right there.
Up at 4 a.m. on the bus at 5:30 going out of town.
Oh, man.
Practice. Those kids will rep a show during the week 100, 200 times to put on a 10-minute show.
Right.
So you're all I got to do is keep up with them.
And not only did you do all of the band competitions, you did the football games as well?
I never tried to photograph the football games.
Okay.
I had my hands full.
Cold weather, rainy weather, you were out there.
If they're out there in it, I'm out there in it.
Wow.
There were times when I would say, I'm going to shoot video, and I'd go, if it was a small stadium, and I'd go up the bleachers and stand there and shoot video. I've been on top of press boxes shooting.
Yeah.
Crawl up the ladder to the attic and go out into the top of the press box.
Yeah.
Just to get the photos, because 25, 30 years from now when they have a reunion, they're going to say, I wish we had some pictures, and somebody will say, hey.
Yeah, there you go, right there, your cell phone right there, yeah.
Got them right there,
After your life as a high school band photographer, what came next?
Started shooting portraits. How most people start. You start shooting your kids, and then maybe your spouse. Pictures get shared to social media. People get tagged. Then people start contacting you.
Right.
And, word of mouth gets out. Then it starts with, hey, can you do my friend's senior portraits?
Right.
Everywhere I've called to get senior portraits wants $2,000 to do senior portraits or something ridiculous. And sure, I'll do the senior portraits, no problem. I got involved with the meet and greet group. I was just looking for some place to go to shoot.
Yeah.
Now we're doing one of those a month in Huntsville and one in Birmingham. So I drive to Birmingham to shoot. Drove to Childersburg a couple weeks ago, which is in Talladega County.
Okay.
We've got one set in in Huntsville, and we're looking at one in Elkton. We're kind of all over the place. We drove to Fort Payne. That wasn't a meet and greet, but some of us drove all the way over to Fort Payne to shoot there, people that we had met. The more you shoot there, the more your photos go out onto social media and get tagged, and the more people see them, and people start messaging you. Hey, I've got a wedding coming up. Are you available in October to shoot a wedding? And things just happen. I've found that you don't really have to spend a whole bunch of money on ads and that sort of thing. If you take good photos.
Right. Have your work speak for itself.
Yeah.
For someone that has never been to a meet and greet, such as what you're putting on in Huntsville, what can a new person expect when they first drive up?
It is not what you see called a styled shoot, where people go from one station to another shooting something that's pre-posed, and everybody walks out with the same photos. It's more of a shootout format. What will happen is I'll be there. JJ will no doubt be there. JJ McCrimmon, my co-host and the person that started it all, no doubt he'll be there before I am. Photographers will show up, models will start to show up around noon, and people will just pair off and go shoot. The less bashful ones will pair off and start to go shoot.
Right.
Other photographers will follow. It's not unusual to see a model and a photographer pair up and start shooting somewhere, and you look around and there's another photographer there and one there, and they're kind of shooting from different angles. Maybe they're not completely comfortable shooting with a model, and they're watching to see the interaction between a photographer and model,
right?
How directions go, and how the conversation that goes back and forth, and walking up to the model and say, "Hey, this is what we're getting," and talking about the image and going back and trying it again, and that whole feedback loop that you don't really know is supposed to happen until you see it happen,
right?
You may walk around. It's a large area we're shooting at Monday, but you may walk around. You may wind up shooting with 10 different models,
right,
from noon to 4.
And in reading a previous post, it is not just local models either, is it?
No. We routinely have models and photographers from Nashville, Chattanooga, a couple from Dalton. We've had people come over from Atlanta. One model has driven in from Augusta.
Wow.
We've had a couple come down. We had a couple come down last year from Louisville. It's more of a regional thing than it is a local.
And that is also a great way to learn.
Yeah.
Pick up tips. I did that myself back when I was beginning, okay? So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a great way to learn, pick up tips, and also to network.
Pick up the camera, point it, push the shutter button, mess the shot up. Mess it up.
Yeah.
And you look at it in the back of the camera and you say, "Oh man, what was that?" And you grab somebody that's standing close by. It looks like they know what they're doing. You say, "What did I do?" And they tell you, and then fix it and take the shot again.
And preferably, if you get advice from someone that's got the same make of camera you do,
yeah,
that
helps.
You figure your problem out.
That helps.
It helps a great deal.
It's easy to get involved in one of those things and walk out after 4 hours with 500 or 600 shots.
Yes.
And what we tell people when they're new is, look, slow down, take a breath, frame your shot, compose your shot, think about what you're doing, push that shutter button once. Don't push it 10 times.
After all these years, what keeps you motivated?
I just like doing it.
Okay.
I like going out, and the thing of meeting new people, the collaboration, when we get through with the collaboration, we wind up with a product that is better than either of us would have put out by ourselves. We start bouncing the ideal back and forth, and sometimes an ideal will change half a dozen times before we ever get to the location to shoot. And sometimes it'll change half a dozen times when we're at the location to
Yes, it
shoot.
will. Yes, it will.
And,
Yes.
and when we wind up, when I get that shot, and a lot of models who I've worked with will tell you, from time to time, he'll just grin and start, yeah, all right. And they know because I'll go show them.
Uh-huh.
And the model will look and go, oh, wow. And it's like, yep, there we go. All that planning back and forth on Messenger for the past month, all the back and forth resulted in me giggling and the model saying, oh, my goodness. Yep, that's exactly what we were looking for. Well, actually, this is a lot better than what we were looking for.
As Hannibal on the A-Team used to say, I love it when the plan comes together.
Yeah. Even if this wasn't the plan, this is better than the plan that I had. And
I love
that's
it.
a good
I love
thing.
it.
Never assume your plan is perfect. Your plan is not perfect.
Oh, no. It's like a Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong, it will.
I don't like variables. I will hyper-plan a shoot. I'll tell a new model when we're planning a shoot, I'm about to drive you crazy planning the details for this shoot.
Yes.
Because
it takes it.
Yeah.
It takes it.
A detail that is left unaccounted for will occupy shooting time when we get on site.
Yes. Yes.
I want it so planned out that when we get there, we're not going to, but we could, if we wanted to, just get out of the car, wave at each other. She goes over because I even get satellite photos of the location, Google Earth photos. This is where we're going to be. I know the time of day. I know when solar noon is. I know where the sun's going to be. I know everything before we get out there. And the model could walk to the spot because she's already seen it on photos, and we could start shooting and never say a word because we planned it to that level. So we're not spending 30 minutes, a half hour, 30 minutes, half hour, that was silly. 30 minutes to an hour. Wow. Nailing down details and fixing uh-ohs.
Yes.
I don't want any uh-ohs. We're there to shoot. Let's spend the time shooting. Every minute that we're dealing with an uh-oh, something that we didn't plan for, is a minute we're not shooting.
Taking the Google photos, that is called being prepared now.
You scout that area.
I usually shoot areas that I have gone to numerous times. I know lighting, location, everything. But whenever you go to a new location, that is a great idea. Wow. That is called being a professional.
You look up the photos, you look up the terrain, you look up, where your sight, your line of sight. You look up what's going to be in your background if I'm standing here versus here. You check out all of that stuff, so you don't get to the site and if you think you got the perfect shot and there's a campground in the background or something.
Yeah.
You check solar noon on your watch. You know when sunset's going to be down to the minute. You know when the sunrise is. Hey, can we do some sunrise photos? Hang on a minute. And look up when that is. So you're not out there 30 minutes early or 30 minutes late. 30 minutes early, you're standing around wasting time. 30 minutes late, you've missed the whole thing.
You're right, you've missed everything.
So you do that with that precision. And everybody gets their shots, everybody's happy, and you're not having to reschedule, you're not having to reshoot, you're not having to do any of that stuff. You're spending your time and energy doing what you're there to do, rather than, oh man, here's a wardrobe problem.
Yes.
Here's, I'll ask, who's going to do your makeup? You're going to have your makeup done when you get there. So we're not waiting for 15 minutes while we're sitting in the car doing makeup. We want that done when you get there. The little things are not little things.
No, they're not.
Those little things when when they're part of the progression can turn into an enormous thing.
Exactly right. Yes. What has been the hardest part for you? Preparation? What? Planning?
Editing,
Editing?
sitting down at a computer and doing one thing.
Yeah.
I have to. I'll edit after midnight
Wow.
when there's no one's calling me on the phone.
Yes.
There's no dog wanting out. There's no cat wanting in. There's nothing else going on in the house, because I have to be able to sit down and focus. If I've got 50, 60 shots from a set, I need to sit down and I need to start at shot number 1, and I need to go through that 50 to 60 shot set. First thing I'm going to do is cull them and then go through the ones I want to edit. I try to shoot so the editing is minimum.
Thank you for saying that, because I'm the same way.
I hear people, I see people on social media say, well, I spent 3 hours editing this photo.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why?
You odds are you didn't have a real good photo. What took 30 minutes? Okay, if you're doing a composite for people that are watching and getting mad, if you're doing one of those really complex composites, I can see it.
Okay.
Okay, but your standard portrait, what takes so long? Take the time. I was doing a senior portrait several years ago. There was a stick. This is the mindset. There was a stick laying in front of the guy I was shooting. I said, "Oh, hang on a minute." And I walked up and grabbed the stick and tossed it out. He said, "You just take it out in Photoshop." I said, "Or I can just throw it over there.
Wait right now."
And then I don't have to take it out in 3 different shoots and shots in Photoshop."
Mm-hmm.
This took me 10 seconds to walk up and throw the stick. It's easier to get it right in the camera.
That is my mentality exactly. Exactly. Can people over edit?
Did you see my Facebook post earlier today?
Honestly, I've been so busy today answering emails, text messages. No,
I could show it to you, but I don't know if it would translate well to a podcast. The actor, I forget the movies he was in, but
oh yes, I did see that. Yes, I did.
It's got him before and after, and he's got the skin smoothing filter on it. And it's
way too much.
And my caption is "Stop it."
Yes, I remember that now.
Just
I remember
stop. There's a way to do it. There's if you want some skin smoothing done, fine, but there's a way to do it. And when you use those filters, I don't know what app it's on, and it removes your nose. It's when the skin smoothing filter removes your nose, you've overdone it.
Mm-hmm.
And I call it the Voldemort filter. From Harry Potter, because in the end, you look and you're like, well, she looks like Voldemort. and I really can't believe that she thinks that looks good. It's terrible.
In the past, I've always valued or judged whether I want to work with a model by a previous image.
Mm-hmm.
I want the image that I look at to at least resemble the model when she shows up.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And sometimes that's not always the case. She's like, wow, is that you?
Yeah. If I wanted perfectly smooth skin, I could go to Walmart and buy a Barbie doll.
Yeah.
And set her up and shoot. And there you go. No editing necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get asked, hey, can you edit? Can you take this off? I got a spot on my hand here. Generally, if it's something that's permanent, it probably should stay. Unless you really, really, really don't like it. You know, it's something disfiguring. I can do something with it. If it's something temporary, you got a pimple. Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's easy. Um, you know, the mole that you have right there. Well,
Marilyn,
you've had that. Yeah,
yeah, the Marilyn Monroe mole.
yeah.
I caught right there.
You've had that since you were 6.
Right.
And if I take it off, when your family sees that photo, that's the first thing they're going to notice is, you know,
Or the next photographer that photographs you. What happened? Where's the mole?
yeah, where's the mole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That may be what sold them on you, okay?
Yeah, editing can be overdone, over sharpened. I see people do that a lot. Oversaturated. You know, turn that slider on Lightroom for saturation. Just crank it as far to the right as you can go. You know, yeah. So I try not to edit much, partially because it's difficult to sit down and do one thing. And partially it's more a matter of personal style, I think.
Yes.
I'd rather the photo look like the person I just took a photo of
Yes.
rather than CGI.
Yes. I don't have the patience to edit. That's why I choose to try and get everything right in the camera.
Mhm.
I look at what's in the background. As you said about that stick earlier, I'll move it so I don't have to edit it out
Yeah.
or crop. I'll try to get everything right in the camera first before I even hit the shutter button.
Yeah. Before I even raise the camera.
Yes.
Garment tags.
Yes. Garment
Those things on dresses that are used to hang the dress up that constantly pop out.
Yes.
Those things, I'm constantly looking for those, and I'll put the camera down. Hey, check your whatever that thing's called, and eventually the models that know me will know when I say, "Hey, Photoshop that thing," and and they'll laugh
keyword
and tuck
Photoshop
it back in there. Well.
Thank you for tuning into the Model Connection podcast. Please like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Thomas, you were nice enough to bring some images with you. So tell our followers what we are looking at.
There's a reason for this shoot. We had originally planned an entirely different concept. My subject here is both a photographer and a sometimes model in Huntsville, and we had planned on doing something entirely different. This was at Big Spring Park. She messaged me and she said, "Hey, I'm depressed." And there's a reluctance sometimes to talk about depression and that sort of thing in our culture, and she was absolutely upfront about it and posted these pictures herself. So I don't feel any reservations about talking about it. And I said, you know what, that's fine. Show up anyway.
Yes.
And she said, well, I'm not dressed for it. I haven't put on my makeup. I haven't done my hair. I haven't done anything. I really don't feel like posing. I said, fine. Wear what you've got on right now. And she showed up barefoot in, I guess those are pajama pants. I don't know what they are, and a sweater.
Possibly, yes.
And I told her, I said, look, we're not going to pose. We're not going to do any of that. You sit right there and do whatever comes to your mind. However you're feeling, be that. And I backed off. I think that shot was taken at 300 millimeters. So I had a monopod and a 100-400 that I was shooting at 300 millimeters to get distance from her. So I knew I wasn't interfering at all.
Right.
And we shot it, no coaching, no posing, no nothing. in the middle of that shoot, a woman walked over and asked her if she was okay. And of course, I'm back 200 feet
200
saying,
feet.
"Get out of my shot." You know, you well-meaning Good Samaritan, please get out of my shot.
That is a perfect example of someone feeling depressed and just wants some alone time.
She felt the way she felt. And often I think we're uncomfortable with depression and that sort of thing. So we try to talk people out of it. And, you know, what I hear a lot is, "Oh, don't be depressed. It'll be fine." Well, I'm sure that helped.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fact is that people are depressed.
Yes.
So let them be depressed. You know, if they're not trying to hurt themselves, then it's okay.
True.
Just let them be depressed, and they'll work through it, and it'll be all right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Tom, what do we have here?
That is Joy Bosley. Joy is out at Fort Irwin or Fort Ord, I forget which. I think Fort Irwin now, active duty Army. We got the wild ideal. I've done a lot of shoots rather in water. Kind of a thing that happened by accident once the pictures got out and I started getting messages. "Hey, I want to do that." That's kind of neat, especially when it's hot. Like now,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
crawl in the river and take photos. It's fun. It's a way to stay cool. And we searched and searched and searched for wardrobe ideals because, you know, swimsuit in the middle of a river is kind of cliche.
Yeah.
You know, it's been done
Many times.
you know, people scroll by and they say, "Yeah, okay." We went the completely opposite direction. She said, "I have a wedding dress that I found at a thrift store for like $10.
Yes.
I'm going to do that." Now, this thing has like a 10-foot train on it. And we crossed a river that was chest high to me, and Joy's considerably smaller than I am,
Yeah.
but very athletic. We crossed the river to get to that log because I spotted the light, she spotted the log, and you can see where it's brighter over on the right side of the frame.
Uh-huh.
And we had shade hanging over, and I knew I'd catch reflection off the river to light up her left side frame right.
Yes.
We got in position, and she hit the pose and kind of looked out back over back over toward the middle of the river, and I snapped the shot. I have a rule that if you're shooting outside and no one stops to watch, you're probably doing it wrong.
I've actually made the same comment on a photo recently.
We had kayakers beach their kayaks on the other side to watch us shoot this. They pulled up and saw it and dragged their kayaks over to the other side and got out of the kayaks and were watching us shoot just because the novelty of a model in a wedding dress. It's not what you see every day. It's not cliched. It's the obvious question is, why is she in the middle of a river?
It's amazing. You cannot go anywhere without somebody finding you.
Well, yeah. I mean, what my answer to the question is, why do you think she's in a wedding dress in the middle of a river?
Taking pictures.
You know, it's not something that you just look at. It's something that you stop and think about.
Yes. Okay, now, same river?
No.
Okay.
Sipsey River in Bankhead National Forest, just north of Double Springs. To go to Double Springs, because nobody knows where it is, you go to Coleman, turn back west, go about 60 miles. Double Springs is in the middle of Winston County, literally in the middle of nowhere.
And that was his secret shooting spot.
Yeah. Well, the Sipsey is a nice long river, so if anybody else wants to shoot there, you probably won't be in my background. That is Turner. I think she's from around Hartselle. Turner, you know, I said earlier that a good model will make you look like a better photographer than you are. Turner
Case in point.
is an example. We got to the point very, very quickly where we used what I call telepathic posing.
Yeah.
You know, the water running and the leaves, the wind, and all that's hard to hear.
Right.
But I would point to an arm, and she would move the arm where I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when you get that going back and forth, where each one of you understands what the other one's looking for,
Right.
It's great to shoot that way.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You say, "Can you?" and she does it, and you say, "Click."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. I love this.
My daughter and son-in-law. That shot took a long time. We had to wait for him to get back from Iraq. Then we had the coronavirus. The pandemic started while he was in Iraq. Delayed him getting back for several months. He got back home. They got married in a circuit court judge's office. You know, no big wedding because of the coronavirus. There's a lot of that going on.
Yes, yes.
Then they moved away to where he's stationed, and they came back several months later with the wedding dress and his dress blues. And we finally got to take the photos. Bitter cold on that day, and we were going to shoot outside, but it was so cold. My red-haired daughter was turning blue. So we went inside. This is at a place called Lowe Mill in Huntsville. Used to be a textile mill. Used to make combat boots.
Okay.
It is the largest. What do they call it? It's like an incubator for artists and such. They have booths all in there. It's I forget how many thousands of square feet, 30,000 square feet, something like that. So lots of light like that, lots of texture like that, and you know, you can find all sorts of interesting places to shoot just walking around. That is just with the window light, and I was framing the shot when she turned to look at me, and luckily I had the camera up at that point, and she, you know, when she turned to look at me, my brain said, "Yep, there it is." Click.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's a big part of photography. People say, how did you get that shot? Well, I had my camera with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How many times have you heard people say, "Man, I wish I had my camera with me"?
Right.
I have my camera with me right now.
Right. And you were ready at just that one moment right there.
I had it up ready to go when she just happened to turn and look. Yunju Pan, who is back home in Taiwan now, but I think she's coming back to the States in August. This was shot at Athens State College in Athens. These black and whites, I've heard people say, "Oh, my color was off on this, so I converted it to black and white." You know, like black and white is used to cover up, you know, other photography sins. These were shot black and white, on purpose.
Right, right.
This entire set was done in black and white on purpose. Her wardrobe, as we were kicking around the ideal, she said, "I've got white tennis shoes. I've got a white shirt that's perfect. I'll wear my blue jeans, and it'll look great in monochrome." And we shot probably 60 shots out there, all of them not shot in color and converted to black and white when I got home, but shot in the camera, black and white, purposefully. And on this one, this is right in front of the Athens State Police Department, right in the middle of the road. And one of the Athens State police officers would walk by every few minutes. He'd stop and watch us shoot. Turned out he was into photography, but had never really shot with a model, and he was kind of stopping to watch. I asked him, I said, "Man, are you trying to run us off?" And he says, "No, I'm just watching. Y'all go, do your thing." All right, fine.
I'll keep traffic off of you.
Yeah, it'll be great. This was recent. Cuyahoga Falls in Childersburg, Alabama, down in Talladega National Forest. Um, this is Alice. This was Alice's second time posing for photos ever. The first time was last month at one of the meet and greets in Birmingham.
Okay.
She actually, second time posing for photos. Have you ever had one of those shoots where you know that your job is just to work the controls on the camera and try not to mess up the shot?
Yes.
Just keep up
Mm-hmm.
and take pictures of what the model's throwing at the lens.
Natural.
I said, stand over there. The light's great. She said, what should I do? I said, be you. And I backed off. This was I think this was with my 7200. So I was free holding it, and she just started doing her thing and click, click, click. And before the question is asked, there was no saturation turned up in Lightroom on that photo. That's the color. So the red dress and the green background, it had rained a lot, so it was nice and green behind her, and the contrast was just there. At that point, you don't go give imposing instructions.
Right.
You just operate the controls on the camera and frame the shot and click it and try not to mess it up.
Right. I would like to see an image of her, maybe one or two, with the hair off of her
Off of her face.
face a little bit, and then also one or two with her smiling.
Mm.
I am a fan of. I want someone to show me your personality, show me you're having fun.
You're over what I call the Abercrombie and Fitch pose.
Yeah.
That
I am. Thomas, you've got some great images. I thank you so much for bringing those images here to share with us. I try and pick out some things that I would change or make an image better. I couldn't find anything, okay? I would not change anything.
I was kind of hoping you would.
Nope.
Because I look at my photos from 2 years ago and I think, man, I liked that then. What was I thinking? And then photos from 6 months ago, I liked that then, but I'm deleting that off of social media because I just can't. It's a constant process, and things that you liked, you don't like now, and you don't stop learning. You don't stop learning the techniques. You don't stop learning lighting, and the most important thing, you don't stop learning how to interact with your subject.
Very, very important.
You got to be able to talk to people if you're going to do portrait work.
Right.
You got to be able to give instructions either from this close or from 200 feet back, which is more challenging.
Thomas, in the few minutes we've got left, what is a topic that you feel we do not talk about or talk about enough?
I think it's very, very important, especially for newer models, for younger models, ones who maybe don't have the life experience necessary to jade them a little bit, to make them watchful. I think it's important to know that not everything you see on social media is legitimate. That there are people out there who certainly do not have your best interest in mind, and to be watching for those people. If you see an ad on a Facebook group where a guy says, hey, we're doing I need 5 models to do a shoot in Miami. We're paying $2,500. You'll be down there for 3 days. And the only photos you have on your profile are stuff you took with a cell phone, and they're contacting you with this. Okay, that's obvious. That's just obvious. If you look if a photographer, quote unquote, contacts you and tries to say, hey, I'm looking for a model to do XYZ. Go to his profile. If his profile is locked down, block him.
Right. Exactly right.
If you look, there should be some indication on his profile that he at least knows which end of a lens to look through. There should be photos. And if you look at all the photos and the styles are vastly different, red flag, block him. One thing that I do a lot, I reverse search the images. And I find, okay, this image is in 1,000 other places on the internet. This was pulled off the internet. This was pulled off somebody else's website. This is a complete scam. A lot of them are scammers. We've run across a couple. Of a couple. One thing that I do, because models contact me and they say, hey, in fact, I had it happen recently. Do you know this guy? And turned out I did know that guy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, I know him. I've shot with him. He knows his gear. He was easy to get along with. If you want an escort to go with you, let me know. I'll go with you. One thing that I do, though, if I see an ad, say, in a certain group that we're not in anymore, and the guy says, hey, I'm doing a shoot in Tishomingo County, Mississippi.
Right.
I go to their sex offenders registry for Mississippi.
Wow.
You would be amazed. Absolutely amazed.
Wow.
I did it. And the guy in question used his picture from his sex offender registry profile
You gotta be kidding me.
on his Facebook. He just cropped it and cut the eyes out. Everything else was the same. Everything else was the same. And I look, another tip for models, look on their friends list. If their friends list is blocked, shut it down. This guy had 600 friends on his Facebook page. 598 were women. He went through, he had, 20 named Amber. He just typed women's names in and started sending friend requests. And people said, okay, or accept. So, that's another tip. Don't just accept friend requests from whoever. Do a little digging.
I also have looked at someone's about info.
Yeah.
If they show no workplaces, no education places, no this, no that, nope, not for me.
Or he says, I'm a photographer in Chattanooga, and you look, and on his about info, it says that he lives in Karachi, Pakistan.
Right.
And his likes are all, music groups and University of Cairo or something, whatever. This person is not who they. That's easy. It's not the dumb ones that are difficult. It's the smarter ones that are difficult. I have mentioned in the past, standing around other photographers, hey, when we get a new photographer come in, I'll pair them off. My daughter used to come to these, and we'd get a new guy, and I'd say, go shoot with that guy, because I knew she'd handle herself, and she knew to text me.
Right.
If anything went sideways at all, which if you're going to do that in public anyway, there's something wrong with you. I said, one of us will pair up and we'll just shadow the new folks. And one of our guys that's been coming for a couple of years, he looked, he said, was that what you were doing? I said, yeah, that's what I was doing. He said, I wondered why you were following me around. Now you know.
Okay, Thomas, for the people that are wanting and will want to get in contact with you, how may they do so?
Facebook is Thomas Neal Photography. Instagram is Thomas Neal Photography. Probably easiest to message me on either of those. The meet and greets are North Alabama Photography Meet and Greet, with the ampersand, not the word and. The Birmingham one is Central Alabama Photography Meet and Greet.
Thomas, Neal, I appreciate you so much being here. You have been just wonderful. I love having a photographer here to talk to. I've said it before. I always will. It's like Christmas Christmas morning for me, okay?
Well,
Thank you, Thomas.
I appreciate the invitation.
Thank you for tuning into the Model Connection podcast. Please like, follow, and subscribe on social media and everywhere you get your podcast. Links are in the description. Thank you, and bye-bye.